everyone and welcome to Inside Politics. I'm Anastasia Lavrina and today we are diving into some of the most pressing issues shaping Europe and the world. The future of the European Union, NATO's role in Eastern Europe, the ongoing Ukraine crisis and even the complex dynamics of the South Caucasus. To discuss these critical topics, we are joined by a distinguished guest. He is a former Vice President of the European Parliament, Richard Czarnecki. Warm welcome to our studio.
Welcome, madam.
Thank you very much. So let me start with a broad question. How would you assess the current state of the European Union, particularly in terms of its political and economic stability?
Well, Donald Trump is a door opener, and he practically open the door for completely new geopolitical situation, and it's the big chance for the peace in Eastern Europe. But obviously, the European Union should use from this chance. I think it's now not time for strong critic of United States, like Mr. Scholz, for example, Chancellor of Germany. Continue, but for dialogue with United States and rather positive approach to this peaceful talks.
Well, that's quite interesting statement. You are coming from Poland and originally, and we do know the position of Polish government toward the situation in eastern part of Europe, Russia-Ukraine war, and appearance of Donald Trump on the global political stage. Therefore, from the perspectives of the future development of peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, what's your vision and expectations?
Well, good question. Poland is neighbor of Ukraine. Poland is neighbor of Russia as well. From one side. From a second side, we have historically very close, very good relations with United States. Especially, please remember, during the first term of President Trump, Washington chose Poland after Brexit as partner number one in the European Union. Traditionally, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland was the partner number one, but after leaving of European Union, Poland was elected for this role, and I think now it's time for special role of my country, but we should think in one European chair. I hope that our bilateral EU-US relations will be more pragmatic than now.
We have already seen a very important meeting held in Saudi Arabia just recently between the representatives of the United States and Russian Federation. That meeting was considered by some European Union member states as provocative and at the same time as a destructive of possible achievements of the stability in Ukraine and the future of this country. Immediately after, we saw the Paris summit initiated by two countries, Paris and the United Kingdom. Munich conference, where the Vice President of the United States also declared once again the stance of the United States in this particular issue. So should we expect more division inside Europe when it comes to the future of Ukraine and in between of the European Union and the United States?
Well, firstly, I cannot understand the critical voice after this summit in Saudi Arabia. Quite please, gentlemen, I would like to say to our EU leaders of EU states, because obviously the role of United States is absolutely crucial. But for short term, I can imagine the peace talks without European Union, but for medium or especially long term, it's absolutely mission impossible. And I see the huge possibility of the EU participation in this negotiations. Also, with the negotiation about the reconstruction of Ukraine is the important economic deal, I think, for many states in Europe as well. But in my opinion, firstly, you should present unity. And to this time, EU was divided in this issue in some important issues, and I hope less emotions, especially anti-American emotions. It will be a good way for the constructive talks with Washington, with Mr. Trump, and obviously, and our real participation in this negotiation.
One of the key elements of the Trump's policy is expectations from European Union countries to be more independent when it comes to security issues. NATO, he's now speaking about 5% of GDP the countries NATO members should spend to sustain the work of that organization. So your vision of the future of the NATO, its alliances, do you expect European member states of the European Union to be more independent? Is that possible with the current economic challenges faced by some member states?
Frankly speaking, I'm a diplomat. I totally agree with Mr. Trump, because it's absolutely not possible for acceptation situation that, for example, Spain or Italy or Germany spent 1.1 or 1.2% of GDP for defense. It's the I can absolutely understand United States that Washington is angry about it. I think we should change our attitude, our European attitude to defense. But my country is a good example. This year we will spend 4.7% of GDP for defense, and Poland and Turkey is two countries in NATO with the biggest percentage for defense, and I think there is no alternative. Frankly speaking, there is no alternative for spending more money for this issue. Also by crucial player in Europe like Germany and France, but for example, motherland of the new Secretary General of NATO, Kingdom of Netherlands, also should spend more money because the Netherlands, also Belgium, still have no 2% of GDP for defense. Please remember, in 2014, 11 years ago, during the NATO summit in Devonport, Wales in UK, we agreed that every NATO members should spend minimum 2%. It's frankly speaking what's happened. It's my question to our friends from Germany, from France. What's happened? Why you didn't make this exam? And well, it's time for completely new opening also on this issue.
Indeed, so we have some controversies here. From one perspective, Donald Trump is urging the members of NATO to cover all of those needs, to spend even now 5% of GDPs, even though some countries cannot achieve the barrier within 2%. And from another perspective, we could see how the countries like European Union member states like France, for example, and on the other perspective, United Kingdom, are discussing the possibilities to form a new alliances and more investments for defense to support Ukraine in the future. We, again, coming back to the economic crisis some countries are facing, is that physically possible to achieve what we're talking about?
Well, truly speaking, it's not fair situation unfair situation for the United States that European members of NATO, not my country, not Poland, not for example Baltic states, not Finland, new member for example, but many of European members of NATO only waiting for the US support. It's not homework for US only or especially, but for European members. And obviously I'm very glad that France and United Kingdom speak about the cooperation, military cooperation, and I can imagine many bilateral or trilateral negotiations in this issue, but I can repeat, there is no alternative for very close relations with United States, also in defense sector, and obviously we should spend more money. I can repeat again, Poland is a good example. My country is not so rich country, but for us the priority, one of the most important priorities, and I hope that our Western neighbors will copy of our example.
Do you expect the European countries from eastern part of Europe to have one single approach toward the future development between Russia and Ukraine? You rightly mentioned before that your country is bordering with Ukraine, therefore the future of this country somehow also affects the future of Poland, its defense strategy. And my second question also, some countries even now thinking about sending the peacekeeping forces to Ukraine to sustain its territorial integrity for the future. What is the vision of and stance of Poland in this matter?
Well, Poland didn't make decision like this. I think it will be not possible in the first half of this year. Mr. Macron, President of France, talked about it a few times, but only words, not concrete, not facts. And for now is the never-ending story. I think it's possible. Not for next few weeks or next 2, 3, 4 months, but in the second half of this year it's possible. Frankly speaking, many of our voters and taxpayers are skeptical to this idea in Western Europe, but also in Central Eastern Europe. But obviously, I can imagine that also it will be very important point in the bilateral negotiation between European Union and United States. It's maybe hot potato for many of us, but we discuss about it with Washington.
One rhetoric question I may ask you: Donald Trump we cannot exclude that will have a meeting with Vladimir Putin in the upcoming weeks or months probably. And if the agreement is achieved, the question about sanctions European Union imposed against Russia in the previous years, can you imagine that these sanctions will be removed from Russia and they may have some even direct negotiations between the European Union, between the Brussels and Moscow?
Well, we expect 47 president in the history of the United States in Poland as well. But obviously, for now, European Union has sanctions against the Russian Federation, will continue, but the situation has changed now, and obviously we expect for firstly not only the Russian-American agreement, but also for our negotiations, our talks, our common vision between the United States and European Union, include Poland. Poland can be the good bridge in this negotiation between the United States and the rest of European Union.
Indeed. You also mentioned Turkey, the country which is not a member of the European Union, but can play a real significant role in the future negotiation process. Volodymyr Zelensky visited Turkey just recently, and President of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, mentioned that Turkey fully supports the territorial integrity of Ukraine. So, slightly moving to our region, what are your expectations about the future role of Turkey and how it coincides with the interests of the European Union?
Very good question. I think the role of Turkey in the last 2 decades growing up, not only in Eastern Europe, but especially in Central Asia, in Syria. I think you see the change of the attitude of US administration to President Erdogan, because Mr. Biden was very critical to Ankara. Now Mr. Trump spoke about that key for the solution of situation in Syria in the hands of Mr. Erdogan. And I think, please remember that first first talks between Foreign Minister of Russia, Mr. Lavrov, and former Minister of Ukraine, Mr. Kuleba, was in Antalya during Antalya Diplomatic Forum 2 years ago, and I'm sure that the role of Ankara will be very positive. By the way, I know that France and Germany are skeptical, but also from perspective of my country, Poland, the access of Turkey to the European Union is also very important. We need Turkey in the European Union if we want in the future have stronger economically and politically EU.
In my opinion and my understanding of the situation, one of the key problems faced by European Union and actually revealed after Trump's back to power, it's a division which we observe when it comes to the future of energy policy, security matters, foreign policy. Let's say Hungary has its own position on what's happening there, and Hungarian government has been criticized many times for its strong position and its predictions about the future of Russian-Ukraine war, and even the situation in the South Caucasus. We saw the division between member states in a case with Georgia, when the European Parliament adopted that resolution criticizing the elections held in that country. And it was Hungary who stood up that it will not support any sanctions against Georgia. Please correct me, is that a real problem in Europe and European Parliament now, which brings all of those weaknesses on its head?
Well, you're right, the European Union is divided, not only in this issue. I think we should change our opinion, our attitude to the South Caucasus region. Azerbaijan is a good example of the stability, and not only in Azerbaijan, but in the region. And we should support countries like Azerbaijan, not criticize, because you remember that the European Parliament also criticized in the last few years Azerbaijan. It wasn't fair, in my opinion. If we, as European Union, will close the door for Georgia access of Tbilisi to EU, in the same time we will open the door for Russian bigger influences in Georgia. I think it's the only one pragmatic strategy for European Union, for our European family, closer and more partners relations with Azerbaijan, with Georgia. There's no alternative for this strategy.
During Joseph Biden's administration, we couldn't see progress achieved in the bilateral relations between Azerbaijan and the United States. There were also some biased statements. So when Donald Trump was back to White House, we had some more expectations from his presidency during his administration to be in the White House. When it comes to the European Union and European Parliament, European Union also expressed its willingness to act as a moderator between Armenia and Azerbaijan in the post-conflict development. But now we could see that Europe faced a lot of challenges, starting from its domestic policy, then what's happening around Russia and Ukraine. Should we still expect involvement of the European Union in the processes in the South Caucasus, especially between two countries, Armenia and Azerbaijan?
Well, firstly, European Union should be more pragmatic. We should respect the facts. We should respect also our partners, like, for example, Azerbaijan. And truly speaking, I think that EU cannot be teacher or prosecutor or judge for Azerbaijan and other countries, not only in this region, generally in other continents, for example, and we should speak about the real cooperation, real partnership, and maybe friendship, especially now, because we have really big challenges for Europe, and we should find the partners, especially for energy issues in Azerbaijan. There's no alternative for closer, better, more frank relations between EU 27 and Azerbaijan.
Well, and the situation in Armenia last month, as we could see that Armenia has more willingness and its intentions to become a member of the European Union after some years or maybe decades. We do know how it works. And European Union, it seems to have more interest to foster cooperation with the Armenian government. We do know about European mission, which stands on the conditional border between Armenia and Azerbaijan. What is happening there, your understanding of the situation? Do you also believe, as some people in Armenian government, that this country has a real chance to join the European Union in the upcoming years?
Firstly, I remember time that Armenia was very close to Russia. Obviously, something changed. It's good, we should be frank in this issue. Firstly, not next few years, but after 2030, new decade, we very probably we will open the door for enlargement, for access of countries from Western Balkans. It's the priority, like Montenegro, like North Macedonia, like probably Serbia, maybe Albania as well. Secondly, we should speak about the access of Moldova, maybe I hope Georgia and Ukraine. We should focus for this one or two or three waves of enlargement, and these countries wait for access to our family, to European Union, many years. It's our priority number one.
Just to confirm, you said after 2030. That means for now, for Ukraine, there is no chance to become a member of European Union or NATO?
For NATO, for sure, no, I think. It's a fine dream, but I'm pragmatic. I don't see this possibility because, for example, United States is against, but also Germany is against, and other European NATO members. You can speak about the access of Ukraine to European Union. It's the problem of very concrete negotiations in many chapters, in many issues. For example, agriculture. Look, the huge Ukrainian agriculture and the conflict of interest with the agricultural countries like France, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Greece. Well, the devil exists in details, and obviously we'll speak about it, but we can declare that Ukraine should go to European Union. It's obvious, but we should also negotiate very concrete concretes, and it's not so easy, but I'm optimistic.
And just to conclude, so if not a membership, what is the real interest of the European Union in Armenia at the moment now?
Well, we should speak with this country, but I can repeat, we have very long, many years negotiation with Western Balkans countries, with also the country like Moldova, Georgia, and obviously Ukraine. It will be the priority for European Union, but obviously we speak about cooperation with every countries from post-Soviet zone.
Well, Mr. Czarnecki, thank you so much for joining our discussion today.
My great privilege. Thank you for inviting me for this prestigious program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just to remind, today with us in our studio, we had former Vice President of the European Parliament, Richard Czarnecki. Dear viewers, do stay with A News and see you soon.